Hi, I'm Josh Hooks. I'm a solution architect with Cumulocity IoT, and in this video, I'm going to walk through a quick example of how we can take Cumulocity IoT's streaming analytics capabilities and apply them to a use case for monitoring stock among retail equipment like vending machines or refrigerators. And to do that, let's start by looking at three inputs that we need to consider. The first being, what product stock are we monitoring? The second is, what percentage of that stock is filled to its required value? And the third is, when is the next planned refill time? This will help us build alerts or alarms to alert the correct people that the refill time is too far away, the stock is going to run out, and we need to do something about it and alert someone. So let's look first at a low severity example. The stock level is 80 to 100% full, and the next refill is greater than 4 hours away. So it's a long time till it's going to be refilled, but it's pretty full at this point, so we're not worried about it. Then we go to medium severity, where the stock level reduces and so does the next refill. So we go 50 to 80%, but the next refill is greater than 2 hours away. So now it's becoming more alarming that the next refill is too far away and the stock level is dropping. And that brings us to critical severity, where the stock level is less than 50% and the next refill is greater than an hour away. So this is the scenario, the inputs and the outputs we want to look at for our analytical model that will then build in Cumulocity. So now let's jump over to the Cumulocity tenant. And so here I'm in my personal demo tenant, and I'm going to jump over to the streaming analytics application using the application switcher. And we're mostly going to focus here in Analytics Builder. EPL apps is good if you want full code level control, and Smart Rules is mainly for easier scenarios where you're looking at something like, did a temperature go over a certain value? Analytics Builder is the perfect middleman where you don't have to build out any code, but lets us handle complex scenarios like the one we're looking at here. So if I open Analytics Builder, you'll see a bunch of different models that have been created in different ways. And the one we're going to focus on here is this refrigerator stock check. And if I click on this one instance that I've created, this is what you really want you to see for your end user. You want to enable your end user to have something that's just a quick configuration they can fill out for the different scenarios. So you'll see this is our low severity scenario where the stock level is between 80 and 100%. That's our alarm message. The severity is minor. The threshold is in seconds, but it's at about 4 hours. Lower range being 80, upper range being 100, and then here are the things we're measuring. We're measuring soda, we're looking at the minimum soda stock, and the device or device group that we're targeting. And so now I'm going to show you how we build that model and enable that end user to be able to just fill out this new instance for each of the different severities that we talked about. So if I again go back to my refrigerator stock check model and just click on it this time, instead of clicking on the little pen, we'll see the model here. I'm going to quickly run through the model instead of building it out from scratch since it's already set up already. So at the left-hand side, we're going to look at the top part and the bottom. The top is going to be our looking at the difference between the time and the next refill time. And then the bottom is going to be creating that percentage of fill based on what the minimum stock fill percentage should be. So if we look at the top here, our input is a input of manage object called next refill. So this is a property that you would put through the APIs within Cumulocity or integration with another application. Could even be from a QR code or RFID that would let you know when the next refill time is going to be. And then we have a measurement input. This is your time series input. Say, here's what the current stock is. And that's all that we know about it right now. And in these, we're actually parameterizing them. Instead of putting in the measurement directly, I'm making a parameter called measurement and a parameter called device that I'm then going to let the end user fill out. So this is how we're creating this form that I showed at the beginning of the demo. So these are based on the inputs that you can see on the left here. One is the measurement input and another is the manage object input. And when you get these inputs, you're actually getting the full information, full JSON of rich device information that's coming in real time. What you actually want is just the specific values, just the next refill. And in this case, I just want the current time of the measurement to let me know how I compare current time to when the next refill is going to be. And that's through a utility called extract property. So you drag extract property in, connect it up, and then you can pull in those specific properties. And what do I want to do with them at this point? I know when the next refill time is. I know when the current time is. I want to check the difference between those two. So there's a calculation called difference, and that's what block we're throwing in here. We're just saying these two values, I want to compare the difference between them, give me a number. In this case, it's UTC timestamps, so it's just gigantic numbers in milliseconds. And then I want to calculate the threshold of seconds between them. So now that I have that difference, I'm going to throw that into a threshold block. That's another one that's going to be within the calculations down here on the left that you can drag in, say, here's my input value, and does it breach a certain threshold? That threshold we're, again, creating as a parameter for the end user to fill out. So if it does breach, it'll trigger this line going down to this logical and. So within the left-hand side here, we have different logic blocks, one of them being and we're going to say this and something else needs to be triggered before the alarm will set off. So now let's look at the second part of this. So now that we have the time difference between the two, let's look at whether the stock is at a certain percentage or not. So the input here is again just going to be a manage object input. I'm going to let the user fill out what the stock name is going to be, or you can set it as a static value as well. And then extract the property just like we did before. And then put it into my favorite block in streaming analytics, which is the expression block. So this is another one that you can find in calculations that gives you the ability to write any kind of expression you would want based on the inputs that you're putting in. So in this case, my input 1 is the value of the measurement, so the current stock of what I'm pulling in real time. And the input 2 is what I'm expecting the minimum stock to be. So I'm dividing those and timesing by 100 to get a percentage value that I can then do something with. So this is the percentage of the minimum stock for that specific stock that it is this refrigerator is at right now. So then we want to take that and put it into a range. So this is another one that's in calculation down here as range. And we're setting a lower and upper range. This is where we're getting that 80 to 100, 50 to 80, below 50, saying if it's within this range, then I'm going to say, yes, I want to trigger something that says something needs to happen, but only if the next refill is longer than a certain amount of time. So that's why we pipe both of these into the and block to let it know, create this alarm when that happens. So when you have all of these happen, it both goes through the and block, you're then going to have your output as an alarm. And so this is within the outputs, the left here, this alarm output. And when you click on this block, you'll see you have the ability to fill out everything or set it as parameters again. So in this case, I'm leaving it static what the alarm type is, but giving the end user the ability to set the alarm message and the alarm severity. So that's our whole model. When you save this model, exit out, and then go back to this little pen icon for the number of instances that you have, you can create a new instance. It'll have some default values, but then I can copy and paste from some of these to say, here's my medium severity setup. So this one's actually going to be a message that the person is going to get who's being alerted is that the stock level is between 50 and 80%. The severity is major. The threshold is going to be at 2 hours. So the lower range is going to be 50. Upper range is going to be 80. And then we're going to copy over some stuff. We're going to monitor the stock for soda again, but you can pick whichever stock you want based on the measurements that are currently coming in from the device, and then pick the device that you want as well. So if I start typing in something like refrigerator, I can choose either your refrigerator devices, or I can choose a group of refrigerators so I can apply this instance of this model to every device. And all of these can be controlled individually, meaning I can deactivate or activate any number of instances at any given time and create new instances so that I can run them all separately and manage them all separately. So it gives the end user a lot of control to create these different severity alarms for different stocks for different scenarios. So hope you enjoyed this quick example of how we can take our analytics model use case and apply it to something like retail stock management.